Okay, a while back I did a video on replacing the belt on a Wildcat 1000. Elk hunting, it blew, never replaced one before. It sucked. Anyway, I didn't take anything apart and show anybody anything, so I'm back in my clutch today, cleaning it out, doing some maintenance. I'm getting ready to order a clutch kit, and I figured I'd elaborate on that last video and maybe clear a few things up for some people. So I have the Wildcat 1000X4 Limited. For those of you that don't know, the 4 is the amount of seats, or the 4-seater. Limited, a few things that comes on the Limited that doesn't come on the other ones are the Stage 5 Elka shock suspension, which is awesome. There's a lot of different adjustment to it. The black piece can be adjusted for certain things. The red piece can be adjusted. The set screw down here can be adjusted for how quickly they rebound, depending on what kind of riding you're doing. The other thing that the Limited has is the molded hardtop, which is great. I like that. And the steering is a little bit tighter as far as turn radius, but I believe that's on all of the X edition. Anyway, I am getting ready to order a clutch kit, and those of you that don't know, clutch kits for the Arctic Cat are far and few between if you want to do clutch work on them. So inside, you're going to notice a few things. You see that X? That X needs to be lined up with the X that's on the back. If you put your hand back behind, you can actually feel the X back there as well. So if you take this off, which you'll have to do, I guess you don't have to do it, but it's easier to replace your belt that way. This is the bolt. I believe it's a 19 millimeter. Put it in park, loosen that bolt, and this whole piece comes off. And you replace your belt. But that X, make sure it's lined up. No matter where it's at, just make sure you put it back in the same position. If not, you'll know quickly. The other thing that a lot of people don't know, or there's been questions about, is there's two types of clutches that could have came with your machine. That piece right there, you need to know if you're ordering a clutch kit, at least from Speedworks. So the 498 is one, and then there's another one. I don't recall the number right offhand, but you do need to have that part number unless you're going to order both sets of springs for an extra 80 bucks if you're impatient. Okay, so while I was in here, there's your air box. I'm going to clean that sucker out, and I've actually got both of my air filters. I always try and keep one extra one to keep on the shelf. So if I'm in a hurry, you can just pull that off, put a new one on there, and then you're good to go. But floor jack placed, placed right where it needs to be almost. We're going to jack up here, and the whole purpose of this is to take pressure off of your spring, and this bolt will come out. So stand by and I'll get that done. So something you're going to want to pay attention to when you jack up this one, it's going to want to walk away from you a little bit, just the way this is designed. So pay attention to that so it doesn't walk off your jack. But the other thing is, if you get it in the perfect position, this should just pull out like so. You'll notice, if I can get it to, see how it's lined up there? If you go too high or too low, this thing's kind of a beast to take off. But from this point, as soon as you get that out, from this point, I just go ahead, I leave the bottom one on, and I just lay this back this way, because then it gives you enough clearance between here that you can access the cover and take it fully off. So I'm going to clean the air box and get the filters ready to go put back in, and I'll be back. Okay, so when you're doing your filters, with these Arctic Cats, they come in 2 different pieces here. What you want to do is to clean this with gas. I got a bucket full of gasoline and clean it so it looks nice and clean. What you're going to do is you're going to walk this on carefully so you don't rip it. Like so. I like to use this stuff. It's called foam. It's filter oil. It can get kind of sticky and gross. So you take this, hold it over your bucket, and then just put some on there. What this is doing is it's putting a coat of this on here so it helps your dirt stick to your filter and not get trapped into your motor. So I'll get this covered up and get it installed and show you how it looks when it's done. Okay, I'm back. Air filter's nice and clean. It's got all that stuff on it. The foam, so it catches the dirt. One thing I will show you, that right there is another filter. And if you never clean that filter, your machine can run awfully weird and it won't run as good. So I don't know if this hose right here that's moving is connected to the back of this. So over time, this will get filled with oil, which again, I have no idea why. So what I did, you can probably see it right here, I actually bought a connector, connected together to a clear hose, ran it down, and put it right there. So when the oil does come, it runs down that hose and not clogging up that filter, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. And I plugged the back of that off so it's clean and it just hangs out. Another thing I'll tell you, look at that. If you use the right length of board, you've got a drink holder for a nice cold one. It's only 105 today, so. Anyway, something else that I didn't know for a long time. This here is your throttle cable adjustment. Okay, so it's pretty simple. You push that up, pull that one down. I don't know if you can see that. Yep, you can. So there's a set screw. You see that? That's going to set it wherever you decide to put it. So if you need to adjust it, loosen that up, and then you turn this clockwise or counterclockwise. When you set it how you want, tighten that back down, pull that sleeve down, which is going to cover that, and then this piece goes up and caps it off like that. Super easy if you know where it is. Took me a little bit. So now that that's all clean, clutch. Oh, I'll tell you a few things I've learned about clutches. So this here is the backside of a screw or a bolt that looks like that. And in the middle, back here, is where your weights are. This is what you're gonna adjust right here. You get different weights. And the whole weight system, because you can't see, so these are tight, but they're also loose, and they're supposed to be. So those weights can move in and out depending on how fast this is spinning, which adjusts this, and it compresses, squeezes your belt. Now, something that I was aware of, well, is that clutching has everything to do with elevation. Most of your machines coming from the factory are clutched for sea level. I don't live at sea level. We live at 3,000 feet, hunt at 6,000 or higher, and it's just kind of weird. So every 3,000 feet, you lose 10 to 15% of your power has to do with your RPMs and all that. So elevation is very key for clutch work if you're going to replace your weights and whatnot. Some kits they'll come with your weights, your springs, but then they also come with a package of little set screws and different weights. And what it is the set of your weight on the tip of it. So if my finger's the weight, the tip of my finger, you'd add weight to the tip of your weight, if that makes sense, for elevation. So if you're going hunting and you know that you're 3,000 feet higher than what you live, you might have to add a little bit of weight to your weight to make it perform better, if that's something that you're into. So I'm going to get this put back together. A few things here. Let me turn this camera. So this bolt that's up here, you have the nut on it is a 17, and the backside of the bolt is a 13 millimeter, just so you're aware of that. And the screws that go on this cover, you've got short and small, or short and long. And when I say short and long, the long ones there are 5. And remember, just like I said in my other video, the long ones are what holds your brackets. So if it has a bracket, which is this 3, and then 2 more that go here for your air breather tube. Those are your long ones, and all the rest of them are the same. So I'll get this put back together and show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, all back together. Got all the covers on. The shock's back in place, covers back in place. Quick rundown again of the tools you're going to need. So at least on mine, all the bolts on the clutch cover are a T30, 17, a 13 end wrench, and this 9/32 nut wrench to pull off the breather tube. Besides that, you're going to need a jack and the 19 socket to get on the secondary clutch and break that loose. Anyway, hopefully this was a little more clear for people messing with this on how to do it. And if you have any questions or tips that might make it easier for me, by all means, hit me up. And don't forget about your throttle cable. It's right there. Super easy. All right.